For number 8, our directions say to solve the following equations. So we're going to find out what x equals when y is equal to 0, so we can find the x-intercepts. To start, we're going to add 16 to both sides to get this equation equal to 0. So we have x cubed plus 8x squared plus 16x is equal to 0. Now looking at this polynomial right here, it's a cubic, it's a trinomial. I'm looking for the greatest common factor. So I see that every single term has an x, so I'll factor that out. I have x squared plus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to factor. I ask myself what multiplies to 16 but adds to 8, and that's 4 and 4. Now I use my zero product property, which says if I have 3 things that are multiplied to equal 0, then one of these things, or many of them, will have to equal 0. So I'm going to set each of these factors equal to 0. The x plus 4, and the other x plus 4. So I have x is equal to 0, x plus 4 is equal to 0, and x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now this is the same thing, so there's no need to write that twice. So I have 2 solutions here, 0 and -4. In B, I have to do a little distribution before I can get started with factoring. So I have x cubed plus 2x squared is equal to 9x plus 18. So I was distributing the 9 to both terms. Now I'm going to gather all my terms on the left side and get this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract the 9x and subtract the 18. So I have x cubed plus 2x squared minus 9x plus 18. This has 4 terms, so I can't actually factor it like I was doing in part A. 4 terms I'm going to group. So I'm going to look at this first set, and I'm going to look at this second set of parentheses. So in the first set of parentheses, I see that the GCF is x squared, so I'm going to factor that out. X cubed divided by x squared is x, and 2x squared divided by x squared is just 2. Now my goal in grouping is to get these to look the same. So is there any way that I can get this second set of parentheses equal to x minus 2? If I factor out a -9, that'll happen. -9x, take out the -9, I'm just left with x. 18 divided by, oh, sorry, that's why it didn't work. That should be a negative when I bring the 18 over. So -18 divided by -9 gives me the positive 2. Be careful there, because I made a mistake. Okay, so that's a minus 18. Now, to finish up grouping, I'm going to take what I factored out and make a binomial out of it, and then my repeated binomial. And of course I'm not done, because x squared minus 9 factors even more. That factors into x minus 3, x plus 3, because this is a difference of squares. Both of those terms are squared. What do you square to get x squared? X. What do you square to get 9? 3. One's positive and one is negative. So I have 3 factors again that I'm going to set each of them equal to 0 and solve. So x is equal to -3, x is equal to positive 3, and x is equal to -2 by setting each of those factors equal to 0 and solving. All right, part C. So I'm all set to factor because I have my polynomial equal to 0. I do see that I have a GCF of 2. So I'm going to factor out my 2, and I'm left with x to the 4th minus 13x squared plus 36. Now this one's a little bit weird because I have an x to the 4th here. But let's think about when we're factoring, we're actually doing the opposite of distributing, the opposite of FOIL. So this is going to factor into 2 binomials. Now think about it. When I FOIL and I do first, this term times that term, I always get that part. So what times what is going to give me x to the 4th? X squared times x squared. What is going to multiply to 36 but add to -13? It's not 6 and 6. That would add to negative 12. 12 and 3. No, that's not going to work. Well, it's 9 and 4, of course. Negative 9 and negative 4. Negative 9 times negative 4 is a positive 36. Negative 9 plus negative 4 is negative 13. And look at both of these terms. Again, we're not letting you off easy on this one. These are both difference of squares. We have x plus 3, x minus 3. X plus 2, x minus 2. This time I have 4 things I'm going to set equal to 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. How come I don't set the 2 equal to 0? Because 2 never equals 0. So I have 4 solutions. Negative 3, positive 3. Negative 2, positive 2. Why does this one have 4 solutions and the last one had 3 solutions? This is a quartic function. If we go back up here, whoa, a quadratic can have up to 3. We only had 2 because 1 was repeated. This was a cubic again. We had 3 solutions. We have a quartic. We can have up to 4 solutions. So our next one, part D, is another cubic. So we can have up to 3 solutions here. We need to get it equal to 0 before we can start. So we have 3x cubed. I'm going to put it in standard form. Plus 11x squared plus 6x is equal to 0. Unfortunately, no GCF here. 3, 11, and 6. Oh, GCF's x. Let's factor that out. 3x squared plus 11x plus 6 is equal to 0. I'm going to need some bottoms-up factoring on this one. So 3 times 6 gives me 18. My b is 11. What numbers are going to multiply to 18 but add to 11? 9 and 2, of course. I have to make sure that I divide both of these by 3 because that's my a value. 9 over 3 gives me 3. 2 over 3 doesn't simplify, so the bottom comes up. 3x plus 2. Don't forget we have this x out front. Don't forget him. Leave him out front through all of this. So now, again, I have 3 things I'm going to set equal to 0. X, x plus 3, and 3x plus 2. So set x equal to 0. Set x plus 3 equal to 0. Set 3x plus 2 equal to 0. And you have 3 answers. Notice the connection between what I have highlighted in pink and where I came from. What plus 2/3 equals 0? Negative 2/3. So when we solve 3x plus 2 equals 0, it's always going to give us that little connection there. All right, 2 more in solving. I got a lot going on here. Let's combine up all my like terms and get them all on the same side. So let's start by subtracting what's on the left. So I have 2x squared minus 7x squared plus 4x, bring this 7x over, minus 1, bring this 1 over, another minus 1. So I have negative 5x squared plus 11x minus 2 equals 0. So much easier to factor when we do not have that negative out front. So there's no GCF other than I'm going to pull out a negative 1. So I'm going to make that 5x squared minus 11x plus 2 is equal to 0. And then negative 1 is never going to equal 0. So it's not going to screw me up there, but it's just easier to factor this way. Okay, bottoms up method. 5 times 2 gives me 10. Negative 11 down here is my b. What numbers are going to multiply to 10 but add to negative 11? Negative 10 and negative 1. So we have x minus 10 and x minus 1. Divide by a. 10 over 5 is 2. 5 and 1, can't simplify that, so the bottom comes up. So my 2 solutions are 2, not negative 2. Sorry, let me Let me delete that. So x equals 2, and x equals 1 over 5. That negative out front, all that it does to my equation is flip it over. All that negative means is flip it over. It's still actually going through the same points, because what we're finding here are the zeros of the function. So no matter if this function faces up or it faces down, it's still going to go through those same spots on the x-axis. Okay, last one. You need your genius thinking caps for this one, because it is a little crazy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all of this out and combine all my like terms. I want to get it down to factors. So come up here and look at all these highlighted parts. These are all factors. Everything is being multiplied. Everything isn't multiplied here, unfortunately. We have some addition, or actually subtraction here. So unfortunately, this just isn't in the spot where we can do the zero product property and set everything equal to 0. So we're going to start by FOILing out x plus 6, which is really x plus 6, x plus 6. So don't just square everything. This is x squared. Outside is 6x, inside is 6x. So that gives me 12x plus 36. I'm going to distribute that 3, so I get 3x plus 36 minus x squared on the right. When I combine like terms, I'm going to bring this negative x squared over. So it's x squared plus x squared. I have 12x minus 3x, which gives me 9x. And then I have 36 minus 36. That's 0. Nothing's left on the right side. I've moved everything over. What's the greatest common factor? X. I'm going to factor it out. This is a quadratic. There's nothing bigger than a second power anywhere in this equation. So I can only have up to 2 solutions, because this is a parabola. We can only cross twice. So here's my zero product property. I'm going to set each of these factors equal to 0 and solve. So x is equal to 0, and 2x plus 9 is equal to 0, gives me negative 9 over 2. So here are my 2 solutions.